We're going to get a better picture tomorrow of how strong job creation is when the monthly employment report comes out. But whatever that snapshot looks like, there are concerns about the rise of robotics and automation and what that means for the future of the workforce. Our economics correspondent, Paul Salman, has been exploring that subject. Here's his latest report for our weekly series, Making Sense.
In Silicon Valley, author Vivek Wadhwa says he already lives in the future. There's his mostly driverless electric car.
Okay, so your car can open the garage door and greet you in the driveway, right?
Yes. And then when I get on the road, I can put it into autopilot and say, okay, car, take over. Look at that. I mean, I'm just sitting here with the car doing its magic.
There's his magical solar home, which has cut his energy bills from $1,000 a month to $500 a year.
This is how all of us are going to live in about 10 or 15 years from now. Solar is going to keep dropping in price to the point that it's almost free.
And having survived a heart attack, his magical health cube. 32 instant tests that give new meaning to the phrase doc in a box.
And each test costs about 10 or 15 cents.
Here's an EKG.
A 12-lead EKG, the same stuff that they do at hospitals. And everything goes into your electronic medical records on the cloud.
In a heartbeat.
Okay.
His daughter-in-law taught me to use it.
So we're going to take blood, my friend.
What I won't do for television.
All right.
Yeah. Oh, and there.
All right, there's your reading.
So my blood glucose reading has already been done?
Yes.
Projecting ahead, says Wadhwa.
We live in the most amazing period in human history. We can have unlimited energy, unlimited food, provide education for everyone, clean water, all the things that have held mankind back.
But when it comes to what we'll all do for a living,
I see millions of jobs in every industry being wiped out.
Just ask the voice of Amazon.
Alexa, how many people does Amazon employ?
Amazon.com is an employer of 222,400 people.
That's 250,000 people that Amazon is employing.
Well, how many people does Walmart employ? 1.3 million people. And Amazon is just getting started with automation. They're working on drone-based delivery. They're going to have self-driving trucks. The workers put stuff in boxes, but there's no reason why robots couldn't do that as well.
Now, a human-free future isn't here just yet. But nearly half a world away at Oxford University, researcher Michael Osborne also thinks jobs are toast.
Back in 2013, we came up with an estimate that as much as 47% of current US employment might be at high risk of automatability. Waiters and waitresses is one example, truck drivers is another, forklift drivers, accountants and auditors, cashiers, people working in retail, even umpires, interestingly, referees.
To be sure, futurologists have been predicting automation Armageddon for decades. But, says economist Carl Frey, the future is now.
The potential scope of automation has expanded quite rapidly, and a new set of occupations and industries are affected as a result of that.
And it's going to happen faster than we think, says Vivek Wadhwa.
Almost every profession I look at where you require human labor or you require intelligence, I see computers being able to do better than us within the next 10 years. I'm talking about a mass replacement of humans with artificial intelligence and robots.
But health cube or no, certainly not the doctors who saved his life, who keep him healthy now.
But why not? Why, I mean, 10 years from now, I would trust an AI doctor over a human doctor any day, because the AI doctor will be looking at all of my data.
And it isn't just happening at Wadhwa's house, but also nearby, where Facebook was built.
Mark Zuckerberg stayed here his first summer in Palo Alto.
Stanford University computer science undergrad Josh Browder, working to fulfill a Shakespearean ambition, kill all the lawyers.
I'm trying to replace the $200 billion legal industry with artificial intelligence.
Browder's created Do Not Pay, an app he built to fight parking tickets in the UK, where he'd amassed dozens and couldn't afford the tab.
And so I had to figure out other ways to get the tickets dismissed. If the signage is not up to code, or if the parking bay is legally too small. There's these letters where if you cite the code, cite how your case applies to it, you can get out of the ticket. There's nothing the government can do.
Browder claims a 60% success rate and has expanded Do Not Pay to the US and to other legal imbroglios.
So it currently works for over 1,000 areas, 1,000 legal robots, I like to call them. All sorts of consumer rights issues, but soon I'm going to do much more complicated stuff, like lowering your property tax bill or filing for divorce.
Free legal software for all. Browder sees it as a sort of realization of a family dream.
Yeah, so my great-grandfather was the head of the American Communist Party.
In the 1930s and 40s, Earl Browder ran for president twice as a communist.
He's a big believer in everything being free, and so I like to think, although I'm doing it in a different way using technology and Silicon Valley, he would be proud.
But to Wadhwa, it's not the thought, but the technology that counts.
A young kid who has no qualifications in artificial intelligence, who has no qualifications in law, he's talking about wiping out a $100 billion industry. So this is the amazing and scary thing about the future we're headed into.
Scary because while automation is the very definition of productivity, more output per unit of labor, as Oxford's Carl Frey points out,
sadly, since the 1980s, quite a few workers have had a bad experience from automation. And I think that is what is determining much of the resurgence in populism that we're seeing now.
Indeed, Frey has just published a paper showing that automation anxiety was strongly linked to votes for Donald Trump. So are Vivek Wadhwa and the Trump electorate seeing the same dark future? And if so, are they right? Not at all, says Silicon Valley computer scientist Jerry Kaplan.
There's more people employed today than there ever have been. And how do we explain that? Except through a process by which increased productivity increases economic opportunities and actually employs more people than the robots displace.
For example, if we're wealthier, we'll take more vacation.
You've got jobs like flight attendant, hospitality workers, masseuses, yoga teachers, advisors of every kind. And that's a result of the increase in the discretionary income we'll have as a result of the growth of the economy.
So think of all the jobs we could do that we haven't even thought of yet. And that's true, admits Oxford's Osborne.
In the 2000s, we've seen occupations such as Zumba instructors emerge.
But he says, as more and more workers compete for the same non-tech jobs, what will the jobs pay?
You know, I think we've seen some of that in the last couple of decades, right, with median wages remaining relatively stagnant.
Right.
Technology is, many people believe, the key driver behind that.
And tech researchers like Osborne are driving the technology. And so I asked,
if you say to a fellow researcher, hey, we're displacing jobs or putting downward pressure on low-skilled wages, what do they say to you?
I think I'm not sure I want to answer this question, to be honest.
But I pressed for an answer.
So we're in this really exciting, but in a way terrifying period of history where it could go either way.
And that happens to be the message of Vivek Wadhwa's new book, Driver in the Driverless Car. Humanity, he says, is at a tipping point.
We are the drivers in the driverless cars. We're basically now sitting there watching it all happen.
No hands.
No hands. No, look, Ma, no hands. The car is taking us where we told it to go, but the car is in control.
At least,
all these cars coming up.
We hope it is.
No, stop it.
You're right. Why didn't it do? It wasn't stopping, was it?
No, it was not stopping.
It would have stopped. I would have bet it would have stopped.
Happily, we'll never know, any more than we do at the moment, about the future of robots and jobs. For the PBS NewsHour, economics correspondent Paul Solman reporting,
Don't do that again.
somewhat anxiously, from El Camino Real in Palo Alto.